The every Israelite looks like Denzel Washington Demon will backfire on you unbelievers. All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha, Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And this is going to be a response video to a video that was done by the beloved brother Manak Zagba from South Carolina. As you can see right here, he did a response video to a woman that looked like Shrek's girlfriend with glasses on. And this big lip broad right here, basically is coming up against the authority which the Heavenly Father Yahweh in the name of his son Yahweh Shah have set up. Okay? In which she's way out of order for making this video right here. And basically she's basically saying that the 12 tribes chart is off, which prove that. The Holy Scriptures say prove all things. You can't just make an allegation and then that's that. No, you got to prove all things, right? If the 12 tribes chart is going off, then prove it. And a lot of you women, what you like to do is you like to run off at your mouth. You like to say things without any proof or without anything backing your statement. And this ain't the first time we've crushed the every Israelite is black demon. There's going to be more bug outs that's going to be popping up, talking about, see, look, see, look, right here, it says all of Israel is black. All of Israel is black. Like, bro, just stop it, man. Stop. Okay. And for all you cats out there who say that every Israelite is black, what about the tares? What about the tares that is spoken of in the book of Matthew? Did you forget about the tares? Did you forget that there are Edomites out there with brown skin and woolly hair? Just because you have brown skin and woolly hair does not mean you are an Israelite. And as a matter of fact, let's get that first real quick. Bible, the tares and the wheat, KJV. Okay. So let's do this. View chapter and then look, Hawk. Look, right there. Look, it said Job's skin was black upon him. King Solomon said, my skin is black upon me. Moses' skin was black. What's the deal, Hawk? The deal is your goddamn ignorance. That's what the deal is. Okay? Your ignorance. You niggas are ignorant and you don't know shit about the scriptures. Neither do you know anything about the Lord or his power. So let's start at Matthew 13 verse 24. Another parable, Matthew chapter 13, verse 24, another parable put he forth unto them, that Yahushua put a parable forth toward his disciples, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, right? What does it mean by, but while men slept? This is talking about when we were taken out of rulership. This is during the period of the Renaissance period, when we were taken out of power in Europe. We were getting taken out of power across these different countries where we were ruling at, and we were basically either being slaughtered off or being put into slavery. Okay, so but while men slept, this is talking about the Renaissance period. This is going into while we were being put in slavery and while we were in slavery. So while men slept, while we were in slavery, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. When was tares sowed amongst our nation? During slavery. Okay, and there's plenty of accounts of when during slavery the black woman was raped by the so-called white man. Okay, yeah, your damn slave master, old Shrek's girlfriend. Okay, and excuse my vulgar language, but I gotta put it that way because the N-dub, the nigger woman, she likes to forget what happened to her during the time of slavery. Okay, and there were countless times when the so-called white man had his way with you. Okay, when your man, talking about the Israelite man, will be out there in the field picking cotton, tilling the ground, carrying baskets of potatoes and shit. The window will be open and he will literally be hearing his woman, moan. He will be hearing his woman through the window saying, "Massa, Massa, stop, please, no, Massa, Massa." And then as time went on, right, as time progressed, it would go from "Massa, stop" to basically just moaning, just moaning. Yeah, your man your man would literally hear you and in the bedroom moaning, getting manhandled and popped by the Edomites, the so-called white man, during the time of slavery. So basically, you was just graped into submission, you know. And while the N-dub, while the nigger woman was getting RAPED, guess what was coming out of her? Hairs. Babies that were Edomites but had brown skin and woolly hair. Why? Because the father was an Edomite, a so-called white man. Your nationality is based on who your father is. And that's according to Numbers 1 verse 18. I'm sick and tired of you nigger women opening your mouth. Okay? Real soon, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and Yahushua is going to put you nigger women in your place. Okay? Breath probably smell like onions and taco sauce and shrimp. Your shitty breath smelling ass out of here. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the household came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence? Yeah, and you notice how it says field, right? Because ultimately, right, the field is in this case, the field will represent the woman, right? Because this is the field, right? The soil of the ground. That's where you plant your That's where you plant your seeds. You plant your seeds in the ground so you can give fruit, right? So in this scenario, in this parable, the field would represent the woman, right? Like, have you ever heard the term Mother Earth? right? So, you know, you know, that didst not thou sow good seed in thy field, right? From whence then have it tares? Because who's the good seed? That those are the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. He said unto them, an enemy have done this. Who is our main enemy on this planet? Which, when you look up the word adversary means your main enemy, your top enemy, the one that's going to give you the most problem of all the other enemies on the planet. Who is our adversary on this planet? Which, when you look up the word Satan goes back to the Hebrew word shatan, which means adversary. Who is our main adversary on this planet? Those are the Edomites, which will be the self-proclaimed white man. Now and again, just because you look like a so-called white person does not mean that you are an Edomite. If your line again, your nationality is based on who your father is. So if your nationality goes back to if your father's lineage on your father's side goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian, you are an Israelite regardless of what you look like. Because the man carries the seed, which the word seed goes back to the Greek word sperma, which is where you get the word sperm from. So the man carries the seed. So your nationality is based on who your father is. So if your father's lineage on your father's side goes back to an Edomite, which would predominantly be a so-called white person, then you are an Edomite, your future is slavery. So your nationality is based on who your father is. He said unto them, an enemy have done this. The servants said unto him, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Right? Because the tares look like the wheat. Okay? Let both grow together until the harvest. And what is the harvest? The harvest is the gathering. That's when because right now Yahushua is gathering his elect. Because while you also got the spiritual tares, right, which are the Israelites who are not right in the spirit, they're also spiritual tares, but that's a lesson for another time. The Lord is also separating his people. He's also separating, his people from the actual tares. Okay. Meaning that, the Lord is making it known who his people really are. Okay. So let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, which the harvest can also be the end of the world, which we're living in the last days. So the harvest can also be the end of the world. I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them. Why? Because the tares are not Israelites. They may look like Israelites, but their spirit is that of an Edomite. Okay? And that's why in the book of Numbers, the Lord said, that's why in the book of 1 Samuel, the Lord said, Yahweh seeth not as man seeth, for men looketh on the outward appearance, but Yahweh looketh on the heart, which the word heart goes back to the Hebrew word lav, which means your mind. How come the Lord looks on the mind? Because the mind, your brain, is where your spirit dwells at. Okay? So Yahushua said, gather ye together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, because they're Edomites. but gather the wheat into my barn, because the wheat are the Israelites. And it starts with the elect of the nation of Israel. The barn represents the chariots. Okay. So the elect of Israel is going to be beamed up into what the world calls UFOs. But the tares, the Edomites, and the spiritual tares, which are the Israelites who are not right in the spirit, they're going to be left down here. And the Lord's going to leave you down here and melt you, like it says in the book of Ezekiel. Okay. So for all you Israelites who say that, all of Israel is black. No, not every Israelite is going to be black. And here's why. Deuteronomy 28 verse 64. And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people. What does that mean? The Lord's going to scatter us amongst all nations. Okay. From one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Okay. So let's read this in the NLT. Deuteronomy 28 verse 64. For Yahweh will scatter you among all the nations, from one end of the earth to the other. There you will worship foreign gods that neither you nor your ancestors have known, gods made of wood and stone. Right. Because back in the ancient world, Buddha did not exist. Shiva did not exist back in the ancient world. Okay. Mecca did not exist back in the ancient world. That stone that Ishmael likes to dance around and shit. Okay, Mecca did not exist. Even Cesare Borgia, who the world calls Jesus, he didn't, that idol did not exist back in the ancient world. Back in the ancient world, people worshipped calves, they worshipped bulls, they worshipped Baal, they worshipped the moon, the sun, they worshipped Semiramis. But you go to Japan, you go to China, they're into Buddha worship. They're into they're into dragon worship. Which I believe Chemosh has been around in the ancient world. Which Chemosh was supposedly a dragon god, Chemosh, but the water sea serpent. I believe that's who Moab worshipped, Chemosh. So you look at Shiva, you look at Buddha, you look at Mecca, you look at Allah, these are all gods that Israel did not know about back in the ancient world, because they were not around in the ancient world. Ishmael did not worship no Allah back in the ancient world. So these are gods of which neither our forefathers knew, which they are worshiping today, in today's time. So guess what? You got Israelites that look like Arabs worshiping Mecca, worshiping Allah, calling themselves Islam. You got Israelites that look like East Indians worshiping Shiva. Okay, they calling themselves Hindu. You got Israelites in Japan who look like Japanese people worshiping Buddha. You got Israelites in China that look like Chinese people worshiping Chemosh, worshiping other gods. You got Israelites that look like Africans, worshiping Egyptian gods, okay? Worshiping the sun, the moon. You got Israelites that look like Hawaiians, worshiping totems and all that other shit. Okay, worshiping idols of wood, stone. You got Israelites that look like so-called white people worshiping Cesare Borgia, who they think to be Jesus, but his name is really Cesare Borgia. Okay, you got Israelites that look like so-called Jews worshiping the Wailing Wall, humping the wall and shit, wearing a hat, a yarmulke, wearing tzitzis. Okay, so the point is that if the Lord scattered our people amongst all these nations, you don't think the Israelite man is going to have sex with the women of those nations and have children by them? If an Israelite man have sex with an Arabian woman, the baby that's going to come out of that, because usually when a usually when a baby comes out of a woman, the baby usually looks more like the mother than the father, especially if the baby's a female. Okay, in some cases, the baby will look more like the father. But if an Israelite man have sex with an Arabian woman, that baby is going to come out looking more like an Arabian. And if that baby's a male and he grows up and have sex with an Arabian woman, right? Even though that baby's an Israelite, because his father's an Israelite, right? So if that baby grows up being an Israelite, looking more like an Arabian than his father, right? And that baby have sex with an Arabian woman, the baby that's going to come out of that woman is going to look even more like an Arabian. But that baby is still an Israelite. Why? Because his father's an Israelite and his grandfather is an Israelite. So you see the chain of command of things here. If I was to have sex with an Asian woman, which Asian women are my most favorite type of women, the baby that's going to come out of that woman is an Israelite. Why? Because I'm an Israelite. Now, if that baby's a male and that baby grows up, that baby grows up, looking more like his mother, even though he might have some of my features, he might have facial hair, he might have a goatee, a mustache, but that baby is still going to look more like an Asian. Okay? Guess what? If that baby, now, if my child went and had sex with a Chinese woman, the baby that's going to come out of that woman is going to look more Chinese than your average Israelite. But guess what? That baby is an Israelite. Why? Because my son's an Israelite. So of course my grandchild is going to be an Israelite. And this is back in ancient world. This is how you kept a tribe and a lineage going. You kept a tribe and a lineage going through the man. Okay? In a matter of fact, when you go to the book of Judges, okay? Let's go there real quick. Bible. And because in the book of Judges, right, a war broke out between the tribe of Benjamin and Israel, right? And the tribe of Benjamin was almost wiped out completely. So in order to restore their tribe, how was the tribe of Benjamin restored? Was it restored? But was it restored because of the woman? Well, let's see. Okay, Benjamin caught the daughters of Shiloh. KJV. Let's do this. So let's go here, right? The reason why the tribe of Benjamin exists today is because of their forefathers. Okay? Now remember, according to Numbers 1 verse 18, your nationality is based on who your father is. So I'm going to just get straight to the point here, right? Therefore, they commanded the children of Benjamin. Now, when you look up the word children, it goes back to the Hebrew word banyam, which means sons. Therefore, they commanded the sons of Benjamin, saying, Go and lie in wait in the vineyards, because we can technically have sex with any woman on the planet in order to keep our nation going, because the man carries the seed. That's why back in the ancient world, whenever men would go to war, okay, whenever the war was won, they would kill off the men, but they would take the women. Why? Because the men has the power to keep their nation going. So if you kill off all the men, but you keep the women, then guess what? That's how you stop a nation from reproducing. It starts with taking out the man. Okay. And see and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, then come ye out of the vineyards and catch you, every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. You see that? So this is why the tribe of Benjamin is still here today. Okay. And I'm pretty sure the daughters of Shiloh were not Israelites. Okay. But guess what? The babies that came out of the daughters of Shiloh, those were Benjaminites. Those were Israelites of the tribe of Benjamin. You see that? Because their father were Israelites. So if you want to know why the tribe of Benjamin is still here today instead of being wiped out, it's because the sons of Benjamin had sex with the daughters of Shiloh, and the babies that came out of the daughters of Shiloh, those were Israelites. And through those babies, they grew up, they had sex with women, and the babies that came out of those women were of the tribe of Benjamin. They were Israelites of the tribe of Benjamin, and of course, the process continued and continued and continued, okay, until the tribe of Benjamin was restored. Okay, so that's the point. A lineage or a tribe is continued by the man. It don't matter what woman that a man have sex with. If a Chinese man have sex with an African woman, guess what? The baby that's coming out of that African woman is a Chinese person. Why? Because the father is Chinese. So what is you talking about? Every, every Israelite is black. No. Just because the Africans are black, do that mean they're Israelites? No. Now you have Israelites living amongst them, but no, the Africans are not Israelites. The Africans are Hamites. They come from the line of Ham, like it tells you in the Zondervan's Bible Compact Dictionary. Ham, okay, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but of the Cushites and the Canaanites, and I believe they said the Perizzites, just roughly paraphrasing, but of the Cushites, the Canaanites, the Jebusites, I believe. We can always just, Zondervan, Bible Compact Dictionary, Ham. So let's see, Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. So Negroes don't come from the line of okay, so of course, I gotta humble myself because I said Jebusites and parasites, but Salakia for that. But at least I came back and did my research, right? So this is actually written in the Bible, in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, which was written by your slave master, by the way. Oh, nigga woman. So it says here, Ham, right? The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96. years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. So that proves that we do not come from Africans. We come from the line of Jacob. We are the true biblical Israelites. Okay. So we're not Hamitic. Okay. We are not Kemetic. Like them black unconscious dudes be saying. No, we come from Jacob. We are the true descendants of Jacob. In the book of Genesis 25, the 25th chapter, okay? You so-called Negroes, you are Israelites from the tribe of Judah. And Judah is just one of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. So Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites. So there you go. Okay. So Africans are not Israelites. They come from the line of Ham. Okay. Here's a picture here. Okay. And that proves that this was written in the actual book. Okay. See? It's written on paper right there. And Ham literally means hot. It does not mean servant. It means hot. Ham goes back to the Hebrew word ham, which means hot. Okay. Okay, but let's see. Whoa. Hold on a second. Sorry, that's not what I meant to do. Here we go. So let's type in Bible, mine, heritage is on to me as a speckle bird. KJV. Let's look into it. So Jeremiah 12:9. Let's go there. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9. Because you're going to have Israelites that's going to look like people of the other nation. Why? Because when we got scattered amongst the other nations, we ended up having sex with the women of those nations. And the babies that ended up coming out of the women of those nations ended up looking like the people of those nations. But those babies were Israelites. Because the father's an Israelite. So that explains why you're going to have Israelites looking like East Indians. Why you're going to have Israelites looking like Africans, Chinese, Japanese people, Hawaiians, so-called white people. Okay. The small hatters. You're going to have Israelites looking like people of the other nations. You're going to have Israelites looking like Hawaiians. Okay. And we're talking about generations here. Okay, we're talking about what? 400 plus years of being scattered amongst the other nations. You mean telling me an Israelite man is going to have sex with a Chinese woman and 400 years down the line, the baby is still going to look like a so-called Negro? Get the fuck out of here. No, 400 years down the line. Okay, that line that you left behind of having sex with the women of the other nations, your children, your great grandchildren, the descendant, the children that are the descendants of your children, they're going to end up looking like the people where they were scattered at. But they're still Israelites. Why? Because their great ancestor was an Israelite man. It all goes back to the seed. Okay, and the Israelite man carries the seed. So Jeremiah 12:9, my chosen people act like speckled vultures. Nah, that's going off. Yeah, you see, even the NLT goes off. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9. In the KJV, mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Yeah, the birds round about are against her. What are the birds that are round about against her talking about? It's talking about the other nations. The other nations. These are the birds that are round about her. Who is the her? Those are the Israelites. Okay. In Jeremiah, I believe the second or third chapter, it tells you that Israel is likened unto a comely and delicate woman. Okay. So the her is talking about Israel. It says, come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. Okay. So let's look up this word speckled. Okay. And the Hebrew word there is kazabawai. Kazabawai. And what do you see right there? You see colored. You see variegated. Let's look up the word variegate or variegated. Okay. Variegated. Definition. What does variegated mean? Okay, did I spell that correctly? Very variegated. Okay. And what do we see right here? Okay, it says exhibiting different colors, especially as irregular patches or streaks. Now, is not leprosy irregular? That's not how your average Israelite will look. Your average Israelite is not supposed to have leprosy. And yet you got Israelites that look like Edomites. There are Israelites out there that look like so-called white people. Case in point, the Italians, okay, the Irish, the Sicilians. And why do I say that? Because during the dark ages, when we was in rulership, we was having sex with those so-called white women. And guess what? We was having babies by them. So yeah, the babies might have started off, coming out light skinned. But what happens if an Israelite, child that grows up to be a man that's light skinned have sex with a so-called white woman? That baby is going to come out with even lighter skin, and that baby might come out with stringy hair. And what happens if that baby grows up being an Israelite, and have sex with a so-called white woman? That baby is going to come out looking like that baby is going to come out looking like an Edomite. But that baby is still an Israelite. Why? Because his father's an Israelite, and his grandfather's an Israelite, and his great great grandfather's an Israelite, and his great 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 grandfather's an Israelite. So it don't matter what you look like. If your father's lineage, if your father's lineage goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or a Native Indian, you are an Israelite regardless of what you look like. Okay? So that pretty much proves my point. What Jeremiah is saying here is that his people did not look like your average Israelite. Okay? Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse, I don't know the exact verse, but let's see. Okay? So this is the book of Acts, right? Chapter 2, verse 5. Okay? And this is the result of Deuteronomy 28, verse 64, when the Lord said that he would scatter us among all nations. Acts, the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews. Now, when it says Jews there, it's talking about the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which were the head tribes, even though Judah is the main head tribe. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? Devout men, which that word devout, I believe, goes back to the Greek word eusabes, which means pious, zealous, okay? So these were Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So guess what? At Jerusalem, right? There were men living in Jerusalem who basically came from Africa, who came from Moab, who came from, of which the Moabites would be the Chinese. There were men dwelling at Jerusalem who were basically at Jerusalem, who was living amongst the Japanese. There were men dwelling at Jerusalem who was living amongst the Arabs. There were men dwelling at Jerusalem that was living amongst the East Indians. There were men dwelling at Jerusalem that was living amongst the Africans. There were men dwelling at Jerusalem that was living amongst the Hawaiians, the Japhetic people. There were men dwelling at Jerusalem that was living amongst the Romans. So what am I saying here? And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So these men that were dwelling at Jerusalem, they did not look like your average Israelite, bro. These men that were dwelling at Jerusalem, some of them looked like East Indians. Some of them looked like Arabs. Some of them looked like Chinese or Japanese people. Some of them looked like Hawaiians. Some of them looked like Africans. Some of them looked like Edomites, which were Romans back then. And then you had some that actually did look like your average Israelite. So these were devout men out of every nation under heaven. So these men that were dwelling at Jerusalem, they might have looked like the people of the other nations, but they were still Israelites. Because somewhere down the line, their father's lineage on their father's side went back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian. So you could better understand. Okay. So in these last days, right? When Yahushua returns, he's coming back to beam up his elect. And I got news for you, oh nigga woman, she that is mine enemy. I got news for you, Mrs. Nigga woman. There's going to be Israelites that are of the elect that's going to look like East Indians, Arabs, that's going to look like Africans, that's going to look like Chinese or Japanese people, that's going to look like Hawaiians, that's going to look like so-called white people, that's going to look like the small hats. Okay, guess what? There's going to be Israelites that are of the elect, that's going to look like the people of the other nations, that's going to get beamed up into chariots and receive salvation. Why? Because they are Israelites. Okay? As a matter of fact, before me get this in 1 Samuel Bible. For the Lord seeth not as men seeth. For men looketh, KJV. I know it's in 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel 16:7. Gotcha. 1 Samuel 16:17. But Yahweh said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance, or on his height, or his stature, because I have refused him. For Yahweh seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but Yahweh looketh on the heart. Which the word heart goes back to the Hebrew word lav, which means your mind. Right? And how come the Most High, Yahweh, looketh on the mind? because the mind is where your spirit dwells at. Okay. Because don't get me wrong, you even got tares amongst the other nations. Okay. You got Edomites that look like Arabs. Why? Because when the so-called white man took the Arabs down, what was going on? You had Edomites, so-called white people, having sex with Arabian women. And the babies that was coming out of those Arabian women look like Arabs, but they're really Edomites. You got tares amongst the Chinese and Japanese people. You got Edomites that look like Chinese and Japanese people. You see, and that's why Isaiah 14:21 is written. You know, prepare slaughter for his people for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor fill the face of the land with cities, or roughly paraphrasing. But let's go to Isaiah the 11th chapter. You see, so even then you got terror amongst the other nations. But when it comes to tares, our nation was hit the hardest because our women were raped the most during slavery. Okay, so check this out. When Yahushua returns, he's coming back to deliver his elect. Okay, and a matter of fact, what do you see up here? The restored remnant. Okay, so let's read this. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt. Right now, let's read that again slowly, so you slow bellies out there can get it. And it shall come to Isaiah 11 verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria. Okay, which the modern day Assyrians is who? The so-called white man. So you're going to have Israelites that are of the elect that's going to be delivered from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam, which Elam are the East Indians. Egypt is talking about the Hamites, the Africans, and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath, and from the islands of the seas, who predominantly live on the islands. The Hawaiians, that's Japheth, okay? Oh, and by the way, Japan. If you look at Japan on a map, Japan is also an island. Ooh, check that out. Verse 12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, okay? Now, I went on YouTube, right? And I remember doing a video on how the East Indians, right? You had Israelites that are East Indians who basically live on the outskirts of Dubai. And they basically live like shit, okay? They live in houses made out of wood, they're in great poverty. But those are Israelites. And how do we know that? Because in Deuteronomy 28 verse 65, what did the Lord say? He said that, and amongst these nations shalt thou find no ease. Okay? So a lot of those East Indians living in poverty like that, because they fled from the land of because they fled from India. They basically fled into Dubai, hoping to find rest there. But guess what? Ishmael said nah. But you know what Ishmael did? He turned a lot of those Israelites who fled India in order to live in Dubai. You know what he did with them? He turned them into slaves. Now you got East Indians basically, cleaning the windows of skyscrapers and shit, serving it as butlers or maids in these different hotels, basically doing maintenance on roads and sidewalks. And then the ones who are basically not working in Dubai, they're living on the outskirts of Dubai where there's nothing but poverty. You can look it up on YouTube, man. Okay, don't East Indians are living like shit, but they're really Israelites. They are really Israelites that look like East Indians. Okay, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. Guess what? Those Israelites who look like East Indians living in great poverty over there on the outskirts of Dubai. Guess what? They will be considered outcasts. And what is an outcast? An outcast is basically a person who stands out from somebody else. So an Israelite, basically an Israelite living amongst these other nations is going to stand out. Okay, you go to China, they have something called the slums. Okay, when you watch that movie, Kung Fu Hustle, what do you think that's about? That's basically about they basically Israelites that look like Chinese people being oppressed by the Chinese mafia. So yeah, which Kung Fu Hustle, don't get me wrong, that was one of my most favorite comedy movies. But that shit is real. You actually have Israelites living like that. Okay? And you can tell that a lot of those people who played in that movie Kung Fu Hustle, you can tell a lot of them were Israelites. Okay, so guess what? You got the outcasts of Israel living amongst the Chinese and the Japanese and Japan. You got Israelites who look like Japanese people, but guess what? They live like shit. Okay, you know, well, their woman is leaving them. Israelite man is just catching hell. Getting drunk off of sake all day because his life is shit. Yeah, that shit is real, man. So no matter where Israel is scattered at, they're always going to be the outcast of the nation. Okay, but just because you're an outcast living amongst the other nations does not mean you're of the elect, because you have a elect within the elect, meaning Israel is the elect nation chosen by the Lord, but even then you have a elect within the nation of Israel, of whom the Lord is going to have mercy on. So, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, the and shall gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Okay. So the last but not least, let's get this because I have to go to work today. I have to get ready to get dressed in less than 5 minutes now. So let's go to James chapter 1 verse 1. James chapter 1 verse 1. James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Okay, the diaspora, like the brother Manak Zagba goes into the diaspora. Okay, so in which this the diaspora is going into the dispersed, because remember, going back to Deuteronomy 28 verse 64, the dispersed. We were scattered on the four corners of the earth. And when I say the four corners of the earth, I'm talking about the north, the east, the south, and the west. So with that, I pray that you brothers were edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Shalom, and on to the next one. And death to the 2/3. which the two-thirds mostly make up the women of our nation, because there's more women on this planet than there is men. Shalom.